And to be quite honest with you, this is the hardest thing for all of us to do. We have to make a leader shift. Contrary to what the books and Borders and Magrudy's and the new bookstore in Dubai Mall say, contrary to what it says, there is no such thing as a global leadership style. We have been taught for quite a while, but the question on that is, it's interesting, it's Americans that say there's a global leadership style. The same people who have the World Series for only American baseball teams say there's a global leadership style. But when we step back and look at it, I would actually question what the majority of these institutions actually know, and leaders and businesses know about what's going on in the world. How much they're really thinking about what does this matter and how does this play out. So when we look right now into the emerging markets, the fast growth in emerging markets, as we want to make the CEO shift, we need to make a leader shift. And I'm going to quickly hit the 6 points of the leader shift, and then we'll conclude. Number one, imagination. You don't solve the issues with what's going on inside these markets with concrete and linear thinking. It's going to require an entirely different type of thinking. Let's look at it for a moment. Up until the middle of 2008, Dubai was growing by 10,000 people a month. 10,000 people per month. Okay? 6,000 new homes are being built in Nigeria every month. Hyderabad is growing by 41,666 people per month. I grew up in a town of 20,000 people. So every single month, 2 times my hometown are being added. Okay? I know how long it took to build a street in my hometown. I know how long it took for McDonald's to be built in my hometown. I know how long it took to get a new grocery store to where food could come to my hometown. As you start looking at these issues and start trying to make sense of it, it's going to require imagination. As you're sitting over here and you're looking from this vantage point, in this perspective, you're going to have to do something different. If I'm sitting in the GCC today, I shouldn't say this, okay, because I should actually sell this. But if I were advising any CEO in this region what to do, I would say figure out how to use your existing talent to go back home. Emirates Airline, 153 nationalities working there. When I was at Nakheel, 81 different nationalities working together. They came from someplace. And those are the places that this region is going to have to figure out if they want to get out of the recession, is how to go there, not just bring it here. We have to figure out how do we sit here today and put ourselves in the value proposition of the world going into these markets. Because if not, the tide of the world is going to come straight over the region as it makes its journey there. Fortunately, the underpinning thinking for this region is that, figuring out how to leverage the geographical location of the GCC for the global economy. So we have imagination. We have to figure out what do we do with this. Another one is navigation. How do you give direction? I like to tell the story of one of the early times I was in Beirut, and I was in Verdun, although I had absolutely no idea I was in Verdun. Okay? And I remember pulling out a map and standing on the corner. Now, an American standing on the corner of any Arab city with a map in his hand does raise a lot of questions. Okay? And it tends to draw a crowd. So here I am, I'm standing on this corner, I pull out this map, and all of these people start coming around me and gathering around. You would think that I was like a star or something. So I'm holding this map, I'm like, hey, can you show me where we are? And the question is, what's that? I'm like, what? What's that? I'm like, it's a map. What's a map? And I've got this crowd of people around me, and I'm holding this saying, I'm like, a map shows you where you are and where you're going to. Guess what the next question is? Really, where are we? They're asking me the same question I'm asking them. The idea of giving directions that I grew up with has changed a lot. A few weeks ago, I was in Jeddah, okay, and here's the directions. I'm going to meet Savola, the Savola headquarters, okay, large corporation. I'm leaving the Hilton Hotel, and I turned and I called the guy, and I'm like, how do we get there? He goes, okay, tell the taxi driver to go where Panda used to be, then to the empty lot, okay, and we're around the corner. I'm like, where Panda used to be? Yeah. and he'll know where Panda used to be? Yeah. I jump in the taxi, go to where Panda used to be. He's like, okay. I'm still figuring out, how did he know where Panda used to be? In Beirut, we give directions based on the Marriott. The Marriott hasn't been there for 4 years. It's an entirely different name. Go by the Marriott and turn right. I'm thinking, there is no Marriott. But we still give directions that way. As we look in these markets, to make the leadership, we have to navigate. We have to figure out how to give direction in a very different way. So we have navigation. We have imagination. We need to become multilingual in one language. If I look around this room right now, (13 to 15 different nationalities in this room right now. Although I'm speaking English, everybody's hearing in English, I would be a fool to think we're all getting the same level of meaning and understanding out of it. As I'm saying things, we're picturing different images in our head. A moment ago when I said the empty lot, everybody pictured a different type of empty lot in their head. To survive, to lead in the CEO shift, you have to master becoming multilingual in one language. In addition to that, we need to become rapid talent developers. We are having a flood of youth coming onto the workforce. A flood of youth. And youth are different. But the issue is, I like to call it 20 is the new 30. What 30 used to be in a workforce, mid-30s I become a manager, I settle into that role. That's happening in the emerging markets in the 20s now. And it's going to continue to happen simply because of the peopleization, the size of the growth of the market. And as a leader, what I have to do is I have to unplug a lot of what I know and figure out what do I do to be able to lead through that. What do we do as a company to move forward in that particular environment? I need to become a magnet. I need to be able to hold talent to where they're coming into the workforce. We said a moment ago, remember the reset generation? Okay? And this is my test ground. I look at my kids all the time and I think, how can I get you not to hit that reset button? How can I actually get you to try to finish the game? How can I get it when you don't think you can win, when it's not going in your favor, to stick with it and go a little bit longer? As a leader, what we need to be thinking is, how am I going to keep this talent here? What am I going to do to hold them, to lock them into our company, to lock them into our brand, to get them committed to what we're doing as an organization? How am I going to hold that? How do I break out of the tradition of jump for pay or jump for title? How do I make these changes? This is what a leader needs to be wrestling with and dealing with. And the final point in the leadership is achievement builder.